Excuse me. What in the world are you thinking?
Mean Gene, the first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say.
What up, y'all? It's KMB, the Sexy Ninja, in the place to be for a Paper Saber universe, and this is the New World Podcast, brother. We're talking about Dynamite, April 17th, 2024. Tony Taz, Excalibur on commentary. We're in Indianapolis, Indiana. And this is the go-home show for Dynasty, the big pay-per-view this Sunday. You would think the go-home show would really be Collision, which it is. But I've always looked at when they build to these pay-per-views, Dynamite is the main show. Has been, always will be. So I've always considered this the go-home show. Then we'll go through this show tonight, and I will also do my picks and predictions for Dynasty, as I always do when pay-per-views come up. So let's just start it off. We started off with Jon Moxley coming out, new champ, and he has a lot to say, a lot of passion. Says he's back against the wall. He is basically the true underdog of everything, but he got this championship in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's on top of that mountain. He will wrestle for both New Japan and AEW. We haven't seen Jon Moxley in the AEW ring in a bit, but he calls out Don Callis. He's like, hey, Don, I see what you've been doing here. You're trying to hurt my friends, Bryan Danielson. You're trying to hurt Claudio. You're trying to do all these things, but you got to understand that I'm back, and he's going to challenge Hobbs next week on Dynamite. I was like, that is a huge challenge right there. So Jon Moxley puts his foot down and is going to challenge Hobbs next week, and he's back. And next up, we have Mercedes Moné. She did a promo on the screen. She didn't do a promo in the ring. She did a promo on the screen talking about the lights went out. That seems familiar. Could be Julia Hart. I don't think it was Julia Hart. I think it's Willow. I just got that feeling. And she really ain't going to debut until Double or Nothing. She says whoever wins this TBS championship is going to face her at Double or Nothing. So I'm guessing we're not even going to get, because, to really think about it, May's just right around the corner, so that's about a month away. You signed this big talent here, and we ain't going to see her in the ring until then, unless medical issues and all that, sure. But that's a long time to sign somebody, get them in. Like, Adam was wrestling like the next week. Adam Copeland, so oh man. And then we go into our first match of the night. Adam Copeland, Will Nightingale versus Julia Hart and Brody. This was a fun match. This was a really fun match, but Hart and Brody got the win. The finish was a little bit wonky because Adam just goes after Brody, hits him over the rope, and Julia gets the win because she knocks out Willow with the chain. Yeah, it's just a funky spot. Adam could have saved Willow, but he chose to go after Brody and do the clothesline over the top rope. Then Julia got the pin on her. And, of course, beating down Willow, Mercedes Moné comes out. Mercedes is like, no. And just a little bit of weird altercation. Like, Adam gets in the ring, Willow's in the ring. She's holding that chair. She throws the chair to the side, looks at Adam, says, hey, we're both here now. Shake hands. How you doing? But really fun match to get us going on this show. And then we go right into Samoa Joe with Renee backstage. And I'm ready for Dynasty. Like, this show pumped me up for Dynasty. I was like, oh, man. And Renee asked him, like, how did you feel when he had that championship over his head? He took your championship. And he's like, I probably had to sanitize this thing before I even have it TV ready. Because you don't know where Nana's been. That's so hard, man. Oh, that was so good. But like I said, this show is just pumping me up more for this pay-per-view this Sunday. We have the Elite and FTR package. And it's cut off by the Elite because they're backstage. Like, no. That's just, it's awful. Terrible. All right, Tony? Yeah, now play our music. Get our elevator down here. Hurry. Get that down here pretty quick. And we go into the Elite versus Pac, Garcia, and Penta. And of course, this is going to be a banger. This is where I was like, okay, I got to go get me some popcorn. I got to get me some chips. I got to get me some snackages. I got to get me some Dr. Pepper. And watch these two teams go at it in fashion. And what's funny is I realized when they're walking out there, we're only 30 minutes into the show and we got all this going on. But of course, the Elite gets the win. You know, we got the big tag team with FTR, and we have a huge Collision / Rampage. So we got so much AEW coming. Like, I'm excited to see what we're gonna do on Collision and Rampage to hype me up even more. But goddamn Pac and the hammer, he brought the hammer back. I was like, there's the hammer. And then commentary is like, he uses that hammer all the time, and I'm like, yes, he does. Maybe just a little bit too much, but it's back, the hammer. I had to write that in my notes. Next up, a segment I can give two shits about. Chris Hook, Taz is Taz is just there. He's just, and Chris is like telling Hook, please, let me be under. I want to take you to Wizard Mountain, breathe that fresh air, please. And Hook's like, no, I got my bag of chips. No, bro, no. Taz is like, hey, man, he said no. And then Chris starts saying things like, hey, man, you had a weight on you, and that's your dad, and this and that. People telling you you're great. People telling you this, blah, 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 blah. He goes, no, I can be the one to be a real fatherly figure to you. And Taz is like, whoa, dude, come on. And he back off. And then he pushes poor Taz. And I could tell, I don't know if that was really a planned thing, but Taz, I didn't realize he was that banged up, because even on commentary he says, yes, he's been dealing with knee problems, and Chris pushed him and made me hate Chris even more. I was like, you son of a bitch. Don't push Taz. But that was Hook's final straw. And I was like, please don't let this be on Dynasty. Please don't let these two fight on Dynasty for the FTW Championship, because Hook says, anytime, anywhere, Jericho, I will prove to you once again and beat your ass. And it's funny, and this moment, while he has Chris in the corner, and Chris is all like, oh, no, Hook. I was like, I feel like Chris Jericho could actually whoop Hook's ass, just because of the size of Hook and everything like that, and from where Jericho's from. But I also remembered that Jericho got knocked out by MVP on his cruise. So I was like, maybe Hook can take him. Maybe Hook can actually take Jericho. But this does set up a match for them at Dynasty, and I was like, great. Next up, we have Swerve Strickland with Renee, same style like she did with Samoa Joe, and Swerve is talking, and then he, at the end of the interview, what I liked, he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna say it to you what I need to say. Everyone keeps doubting me, but I'm gonna say it to the person that actually needs to hear that I'm gonna take that championship, and that's Samoa Joe, and that's gonna be face to face inside the ring right now. And he walks off, and I was like, oh, Swerve, man, I'm rooting for you so bad. I'm rooting for Swerve. Then next up, Deonna Purrazzo versus Mariah May with Toni Storm, and this was an okay match. Deonna Purrazzo just, I don't know, she's just Deonna Purrazzo, and I'm waiting for something to make me be like, oh, yeah. But of course, Deonna Purrazzo got the win. Toni attacks Deonna, and here comes Thunder Rosa, and Thunder Rosa gets the paint all over Tony's beautiful face. And I was like, damn it, Thunder Rosa, I hope you get your ass beat on a Dynasty, because I'm really not rooting for you. Renee's backstage with the Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Gang. They tell Renee, come on, say her name right. Bang Bang Gang. And they challenge the Acclaimed for their Trios Championship with their 6-man tag team championships. And I love the fact that he tells the Guns, he's like, he goes, they had their dad, but they over here with Papa Blade. I was like, Papa Blade? That needs to be a shirt. Papa Blade. But of course, the Acclaimed answered, and on the 0 Hour show, I feel like, because this is what really made me mad, is when they announced, like, oh, this is going to be on the 0 Hour. I was like, you could put that stupid FTW Hook and Jericho match on the 0 Hour and put this caliber of a match, 6-man tag team, on the main show. Like, I don't understand why we need to have Chris Jericho and Hook for the FTW Championship. I understand what they're trying to build. I just don't fucking care. Like, I care more about the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold in this sense, man, because I've been waiting for these two to finally go at it for those championships. Winner claims all. And I hope it's the Bang Bang Gang, no offense to the Acclaimed, because my gun is always up. You see what I did there? Yeah. And then we have a match, Orange Cassidy versus Shane Taylor. Of course Orange Cassidy is going to get the win. Of course he's going to get his ass beat by Lee Moriarty and Anthony Ogogo. And Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal want to make a save, but they can't. Why? Because that son of a bitch, Trent, stops them with the chair. And I was like, oh, Trent. And the crowd was not having it. I think they're saying, fuck you, Trent. You know, breaking our hearts is Trent. And there's no Chuck there. Orange Cassidy got knocked out. And, of course, Shane Taylor laid that flag of his that he likes to do on top of Orange Cassidy's corpse. That's what he did and left him there. And Trent walks out, man on top. Then we have a Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly package. I'm very excited for their match. These two go way back. Then we go into our main event. There's a sign in the crowd that says Roman fears Ospreay. That made me laugh. But we have Claudio versus Ospreay in one hell of a main event, man. I knew these two were going to tear it up. I'm a huge fan of Claudio. Back to the Kings of Wrestling days, man, with that tag team. But, man, these two tear it up. And I'm having a grand old time. And Don Callis is on commentary. I'm hoping that we can get this whole Don Callis family thing out of Will Ospreay's way. Because after Ospreay gets the win, here comes Hobbs, here comes Takeshita, here comes Kyle. They start attacking Claudio, and here comes Moxley, and Ospreay's like, I want to face Bryan Danielson one-on-one to show who's the best, so I don't need all this. He gets mad, and he leaves. And Hobbs, Takeshita, Kyle's just standing there, Moxley standing tall, and everything like that. So then we announced the cards, what's going on. There was no Bryan Danielson. I was waiting for him to come out. But here comes Swerve. This is the final moments of the show. And talk about holy shit moments. This was one of my favorite holy shit moments because Swerve comes out, calls out Joe. Security's holding Joe back. Joe's like, I can't come out there. And do you know what Swerve does? He goes and he jumps off and he does his stomp to all the security. It's like, it looked so cool when he landed and everyone just went boosh. And it was a superhero land, and Swerve got in Joe's face, and he's like, hey, I'm going to take, oh no, here comes Joe, and they start fighting the last face-to-face between these two before the big AEW World Heavyweight Championship match, and I was like, oh man, I'm so ready. This was a solid Dynamite in my eyes. This is a 5 out of 5, the go-home show, and April 17th, 2024, Tony Taz Excalibur on commentary. So tell me what you thought of the show. Drop those comments below and hit that like and subscribe button. And let's get right into my picks and predictions for Dynasty. All right, my picks and predictions. So what this is if you're new to the show or if you're new to the nWp, if you're new to the Paper Saber Universe or anything like that, my picks and predictions are really fun to do because I like to, we'll go through the card from bottom to the top, and they're not going to be in any particular order. So then I make a pick of who's going to win, what's the story going to be afterwards, if there's going to be a story, if this is going to be the end of this rivalry or anything like that. So let's just jump right on into it. Let's start with the 0-hour AEW Trios Championship, Ring of Honor 6-man championship match, The Acclaim versus Bullet Club Gold. I forgot to circle this, but I am going for Bullet Club Gold because my guns are always up. And I don't think this feud will be over with these 6 gentlemen. Next up, FTW Championship, Hook versus Jericho. Hook, just whoop that man's ass. Whoop it hard. I hope Taz gets in there some way, somehow, and helps Hook get the victory over Jericho. And this will be the second time Hook will get. And what's funny is like when they were talking on Dynamite, when he's like, come on, everyone that's been with me, you know, they become great, blah, blah. I'm like, really? Have they, Jericho? Really? Have they, though? No. Well, Action Andretti beat you. Went nowhere. Sammy Guevara, where is he? So, I'm just hoping Hook destroys Senor Jericho. All right, now we have Adam Copeland, Mark Briscoe, Eddie Kingston versus the House of Black. I think this match is going to be fun. Hopefully, this is the end of this whole feud between both teams, and I am picking Adam, Mark, and Eddie for the win, closing the chapter, and we can move on to a new story, give Adam a new opponent, and I think we're going to get a Malachi Black versus Adam Copeland. I know we said close the chapter to the story. I met with like Mark and the House of Black, and you know their thing, Eddie and the House of Black. But I know they've teased it with Malachi and Adam Copeland, so that could be a double or nothing for those two for the TNT Championship. So, but I really want the door to be closed for Mark, Eddie, and I want Mark to go on with that Ring of Honor Championship and make some great stories out of that, and keep building that championship as it should be built because it's the Ring of Honor Championship. And I'm hoping that Ring of Honor finds its foot some way, somehow, especially with Mark as our champ. Next up, the TBS Championship, Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale. And I feel deep in my bones, Willow's going to get the win. And this is going to be the Willow heel turn. Mercedes Monet's going to come out. Sky Blue's going to be out there. It's going to be chaos. And then after Willow gets the win, she's holding that championship. And she reveals that she's the one that attacked Mercedes Moné. And we set up the rematch at Double or Nothing with Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné for the TBS Championship. Yeah, that's what I feel is going to happen. Could be wrong, but I feel it. AEW International Championship, Roderick Strong versus Kyle O'Reilly. I was going to pick Kyle, but they've been really on a roll of trying to build the Undisputed Kingdom. Not on a great roll, but on a roll. So I feel like Roderick Strong is going to retain that championship in some Undisputed Kingdom shenanigans. You know, he's going to get Kyle distracted or whatnot, and Roderick Strong's going to stand tall, and this story is going to keep on going between these two. We could get a rematch at Double or Nothing. So we shall see. And I did not realize this while I was writing down my my notes here for these shows with the AEW International Championship. And this next match we're going to talk about, the AEW Continental Championship. So this is just the Intercontinental Championship broken into two now. Because wasn't the Continental Championship the Crown or Continental Crown Championship at one point? Now it's just the Continental. So we basically have the Intercontinental Championship in two. Right? Am I wrong? Because we have the AEW Continental Championship match with Okada versus Pac in his hammer. He always has his hammer. But Okada ain't losing that championship. They got paid a lot of money to come here. Not to lose, but to win. And this could continue, but I want a better opponent for Okada. Nothing against Pac. Nothing against him. I just feel like we could go other places. We could have Okada and Omega for that championship. You know, does this championship mean anything? Not really, in my mind. It's just a place. It's just a shiny thing for Okada to hold over his head. But it's part of the elite. AEW Women's World Championship match. Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. I got a bad feeling. And that bad feeling is Thunder Rosa's going to walk out with that championship. She's been on a hot streak roll. And I'm like, I don't want to see Toni Storm's title reign to end. But she has been champion long enough in my eyes, and we need to do something new. We need to get this women's championship division going. You got a Mercedes Moné. You do have a Toni Storm. You got all these elements. And you got a Thunder Rosa. As much as I'm not a big fan of Thunder Rosa, as many people are, I think that's the route Tony wants to go, and have Thunder Rosa be the leader of the locker room. Kind of again, but not again. You know what I mean? Yeah, so, and where does this place Tony? Maybe a rematch, maybe not. Maybe Tony takes some time off, but thank you so much, Tony, for giving us some great TV. And now, next up, we have the AEW Tag Team Championship / ladder match. The Young Bucks versus FTR. And the story we are telling here is the first time AEW Tag Team Champions 3 times. First time, 3 times. That's what I meant. And we all talked about it. We're like, oh, Bucks and FTR again. This and that, blah, 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 blah. But it's here. It's going to happen. And I know these guys are going to probably put on one of the best matches of the night. But I feel like FTR is destined to take those tag team championships and be our first ever 3-time AEW tag team champions. Could go the Young Bucks way, and we could have Young Bucks and Okada all rocking gold. But I have the feeling with FTR, and I'm just going with that feeling. But I could be wrong. So let's see what happens there. And does this mean the end of this feud? No. This is a match that we all know there's going to be a banger, and it's in Tony's holster when he needs it. You know, like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. He's like, ha-ha, I got this match, guys. Yeah, that's the 8th time you pulled that card. Oh, yeah. AEW World Championship match. Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland. I'm saving the best for last. Let's be honest. Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland. I know this is going to be the main event. I really do. But I'm hoping, I'm praying, you know, I'm like, living on a prayer for this one, that Swerve Strickland beats Samoa Joe for that championship. And we can swerve all night because it's whose house? Swerve's house. And then we have Joe take a little time off and we build our new champion, Mr. Swerve Strickland, and make him the star that I feel like Swerve should be. If Swerve loses this, where do you go from here? Like, with Swerve. Like, there's no place you can go. If you have Swerve lose, I feel like then the momentum for Swerve is stomped out. So Swerve Strickland, in my opinion, has to get the World Heavyweight Championship off of Joe. And I think Joe will go off into the sunset and take some time off. And then we build Swerve. That's the way. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it. goddammit. Now, Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. I cannot wait for this. I am beyond excited. I've said it before in previous podcasts that we could have held off this match all the way to All In London. You could have built this feud, but Mr. Bryan Danielson, this is his last year in pro wrestling, and he wants to go out with bangers under his belt. So why not get Will Ospreay and him at a pay-per-view this quick? Dynasty 2024 in St. Louis. And I feel like Will's going to get the win. This is going to be like a passing of the torch. Bryan Danielson's going to be like, hey, now you lead the charge, my friend, for being best wrestler in the world. Because that's what this is, a passing of the torch to Will Ospreay from Bryan Danielson to him. And it's just going to be a grueling back and forth, close counts. It's going to be crazy. And I'm picking Will Ospreay to beat the Dragon. All right, y'all. Tell me what you think of my picks and predictions. Drop those comments below. Hit that like, hit the subscribe, share it with your grandma, share it with your grandpa, share it with the bum down at Walmart. And when we get the Dynasty, this is my favorite thing about after doing the picks and predictions, we go through the show, and I was like, oh, I was wrong. Oh, I was right. I was wrong. But that's the best thing. If somebody who came at me about my picks and predictions for WrestleMania Night One, like, oh, you were so wrong. I was like, that's the awesomeness, though. Being wrong's okay. Why? That means it's unpredictable. So, that's what I love about being wrong. Do I like being right? Fuck yeah, I like being right. It makes me see that I can actually book something. But that's the whole point of picks and predictions and my love for picks and predictions. So, there we go. Drop those comments below. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, share with your grandma, share with your grandpa, share with the bum down at Walmart. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/New World Podcast. Get yourself that sweet nWp logo created by Penta X. And remember that the New World Podcast is for life, brother.
Can you dig when you feel like you've got nothing left? When you're choking on your own blood, how deep are you willing to dig?